Kakadosh, Boker Or, Daf Yomi Masechet Batra Daf Kuf Samich Gimel Amud Aleph 163a1. We're just going to start with 162b, the last line, where we're going to speak about the entire concept of two lines. If you remember, we were speaking about the two lines in a get or in a document is going to make it pasul. One line is going to be kosher, and that's the reason. Since we said one line is kosher, that's why you never learn from the last line, and therefore there's not a problem because anyway, you know whatever he's going to write, it's not going to make a difference because you never learn from the last line. So it says like this: Ibailu. So they're going to ask the following question: Shne shitin shamru, the two lines between the two witnesses that they said, okay, that it's going to be posel the shtar, hen va'aviran, or dilma hen velo aviran. Do you say that it's going to be the two rows, right? And with the avir between the two rows, meaning you have the two rows with the space in between the two rows, right? And therefore, if less than this, it's not going to make it pasul. Or dilma, or maybe hen, right? Velo aviran, or is it without the avir? So that's the question, right? What the Gemara is going to come and going to ask. So Amr of Nachman bar Yitzchak says of Nachman bar Yitzchak, Nistabra, it's going to be logical to say Tehen va'avidan. It's going to be hen and their avidan and the space in between them. The Isak, that if you're going to tell me now, hen velo avidan, that it's talking about without the space in between them, lemay chazia, what's it going to be fitting? At the end of the day, you're going to have two different shurot, right? Now, if it's going to be two different shurot, right? So you're going to be able to see that it looks like it's forged. Ela shmamina, but it comes to teach you that what? Hen va'avidan shmamina. We're talking about them and the space in between them as well. Okay? Fine. Right? Rabbi Shabtai. Rabbi Shabtai Amar Mishme de Hizkiah. Says Rabbi Shabtai in the name of Hizkiah. Shne Shitin Shamru. We're talking about Shne Shitin that we spoke about. Bichtav Yede Edim Velo Bichtav Yede Sofer. We're talking about Ktav Yede Edim and not Ktav Yede Sofer. Right? What does that mean? When the Chachamim come and they say that it's going to be pasul, it's only talking about the ktav of the edim, not of the sofer. Remember, sofer is a how do you call this? He's going to be personalized, right? This guy is he's a professional. He writes very small. He writes very nicely. An ed, he's not like that. So therefore, it's not going to be the same thing. Okay. Perfect. So he says, "My time. What's the reasoning? The chol de mezayef." He's not going to be right mezayef, right? Why? Because he says it's going to be a chashash that what? That he doesn't want to do anything, right? He's doing it b'tzin'ah, and therefore, since he's doing it b'tzin'ah, right, in his house, so therefore he says, meaning a person doesn't know to be mechaven yado, right? Just like a sofer. A sofer is something completely different. Okay, okay. The kama. So what exactly now is the shiur of the space? So Amar bi Yitzchak ben Elazar says bi Yitzchak ben Elazar, kegon lecha lecha ze al gabe ze. What does that mean? When we said that we're talking about two lines, the two lines that we're talking about is that you're writing lecha. Anybody knows why you're writing lecha? Yeah. Huh? Lecha or lech, it doesn't matter. Same thing. Doesn't matter. It's the same thing. There's no nekudot. It doesn't matter if it's lech or lecha. זה בדיוק אותו דבר. סלם ממשוס. סלם ממשוס. I don't care about the meaning. I'm talking about the space. Think. Chazak Baruch. The lamed goes all the way up. And the chav sofit goes all the way down. So when we spoke about, right, the concept of, right, the lecha, so some of the space was you're having, right, both of the spaces. Yeah. So almas we see from here, katsavar that he holds, shne shitin v'arbai avirin. We're talking about really be'emet two lines, and there's going to be arba avirin. There's going to be arba spaces because you need the space above and below in each one because that's what they're writing, right? The lecha or the lech, it doesn't matter. Again, the concept is that you're writing the word lamed chav sofit, because the lamed is going up and the chav sofit is going down. Okay? Rav Chia Barami Mishme de Ulama. Rav Chia Barami, he says the name of Ula. Kegon, for example, lamed milmala v'chaf milemata. Right? That's what we're talking about. The two shurot that we're talking about is that the lamed goes up and the chaf sofit is going down. Remember, the real nafkamina is only going to be on the top and on the bottom. Because in between, anyway, you're going to be fine. It's just that the bottom, we have an extra space for the chaf sofit, which is going down, and the top, you're going to have extra space for the lamed going up. So says the Gemara, Almas you see from here, Kasavar that he holds, Shne Shitin Ushosha Avidin, that it's only 3 Avidin. It's not going to be 4 Avidin, because since the chaf sofit is going down on the bottom one, it's not 4 Avidin. It's 2 lines and 3 spaces, because you need the extra space on the top for the lamed, you need in between, right? And then you don't need on the bottom. So there's going to be 3 spaces, okay? That's what he says. Avira echad between the rishona and the shtar, in order that the lamed doesn't touch. Avir between the 2 shurot, and then avira shlishi is going to be underneath, in order for the chaf, right, does not touch. So he says, Rabbi Avu Amar, Kegon Baruch ben Lewi. Right? That's what we're talking about. Baruch ben Levi is going to be in one shita. What does that mean? He says, Kasavar shita achat u'shnei avirim. So he's going lower even. He's saying that all you need is 1 shita, right, and 2 avirim, which means you have 1 line, right, the 1 shita, and in order that the lamed of Levi should not touch the ktav, and the avid, the extra avid, is going to be for the chaf of Baruch, not to touch the chatimot. So therefore you only need 2 avirs, but 1 line. So Amar Rav says, Lo shanu ela ben hayadim lektav. There's talking about between the edim and the ktav, but between the edim le'ashartan, to do with the kiyum of the bedin, afilu tuva nami kasher. Even if it's going to be much more, it's going to be kosher. Which means there's a difference between the kiyum of the shtar and the edim. The edim, they have to sign on the shtar. So I cannot add anything. So in order for me not to add anything, I have to make sure that I'm signing close enough to the ktav that I don't have a problem. So you have the ktav, and then right away you're going to have the edim. And again, 1 line is going to be kosher, 2 lines are going to be pasul, and then how many avirs, here and there. But to do with the kiyum of the betin, right, which is basically where the betin come and they validate that this shtar is a good shtar, that doesn't matter. Because that there's no, how do you call this? There's no, even if it's going to be much more revach, if the shtar is going to be okay. So he says, 1 second, why? If you're going to tell me 1 second, what's the reason why? One more time. When you have the ktav, he could add on whatever he wants, and then he's going to sign. So therefore, that's why you have to make sure that the signatures are going to be very close to the ktav. He says the same thing. He could write whatever he wants, right? Well, we just said the kiyum of the bedin. We translated it. The kiyum of the bedin, right? So he says, right, whether it's going to be between the edim and the asharta, he's also going to be mizayef, and therefore he could write whatever he wants. The chatime sadeh, and then the edim which are already going to be there are going to be right kvar chatumim there, and they're going to be mikayem etzeh. So therefore it's going to become pasul. So he says no. He says what happens? He says the metayetle. The sofer comes and all the revach between the edim and the asharta, right? They come and they fill it in. Meaning, I don't know if you ever realize many times in documents, what they do is that if there's empty space, they don't leave it empty. They'll make a line. Right? So that's okay, here exactly downwards. So but basically that's called the metayet. Metayet means that you're filling it in with ink. So therefore, since you're filling it in with ink, you can't write anything in there because I put something there, so you can add. Okay? So says the Gemara, if so, benedim lishtar also metayle. So what's wrong then? If the entire concept is that you come and you put a line, so also do that between the edim and the shtar. Why did you say between the edim and the shtar it's pasul? Right? Because it depends how much space. Right? If it's 1, it's going to be kosher. If it's 2, it's going to be a problem. And then also mitayet. What's the big deal? Just like you do afterwards. So he says no. Amri, they said sadeh atiyuta udechitema. They said the edim are only going to come and they're only going to be signing on the tiyut and not on the ikar shtar. Meaning this: if you come and you have a whole document, and then you come and you make lines. So maybe when I'm going to come and I'm going to sign, I'm only signing on the tiyuta. I'm only signing on the lines. I didn't actually even read the document, right? So therefore, he comes and he says that's not going to help. So he says, 1 second, if that's like that, so ben adim shart adam yamri. Also, they're only signing on the line. Meaning, if you're already going to come and tell me that that's what they're signing on, and they're not signing on the ikar of the shtar, right? Which means that basically they're just coming and they're just making sure that, listen, we're signing that this is like lines which were done so that way nobody could forge anything. But we're not actually paying attention to what's really written in the shtar. Say the same thing about the bedin. So he says, no. Bedina tiyuta lo chatime. Bedin will never sign on tiyuta. Meaning to get witnesses to verify that you came and you put these lines in order that you're not adding anything, that people will come and they'll sign, even though they're not actually reading the document. But a bedin doesn't exist. Because a bedin, they have to validate the shtar. So therefore they're not just going to come and just sign on tiyuta, right, on ink, but without reading the document. That doesn't exist. So the Gemara says, fine. There's 1 second. Why don't we just suspect something completely different? You know what they're going to do? They're going to cut the top part of the shtar, right, with the hatimot. Then they're going to come and they're going to erase the tiyuta, which is above the sharta. They're going to write whatever they want, yeah, and then they're going to come and sign sadeh. They're going to come and they're going to sign witnesses, yeah. So therefore, right, ve'amar Rav, shtar haba hu ve'edav al machak kasher. But if you have the witnesses and everything is there on the machak, it's going to be kasher. Everything is going to be kosher. So what's going to happen, right? A guy will come, and everyone understood what happens. It's very, very simple, right? You've got a document. You've got a document. He's going to come and you're going to cut, right? After you cut, right, what happens? On the bottom, you had lines, and then the khatimat beddin. Yeah, the gishpanka, right? The seal of the beddin. You know what they do? They cut the top part with the witnesses. Now you had a whole bunch of lines, of black lines. What do? Erase them. Write whatever you want. Get witnesses to come and to sign on that. And it's already on with the seal. With Betty. No, you could erase it with a knife. A knife. Yeah. They'll see it, but it doesn't matter because the entire thing is machak. The entire thing is machak. So since the entire thing is machak, yeah. But he said, but that's what he says. Edim shtar haba hu ve'edav al machak is going to be kasher. It's going to be kosher, right? And that's what we're saying. Kuf samech gimel mubet 163b, right? Kuf samech gimel mubet comes and it says like this: Hani chal Rav Kahana de matinel mishmed Shmuel Shapir. I understand according to Rav Kahana that he's learning this in the name of Shmuel, that he says when you have a shtar which is written on the machak, and you have the signatures right after that, it's going to be kasher. So then that's fine. But according to Rav Yomi de matinel mishmed de Rav, what are you going to say then? Meaning like this: if I'm going to come and I'm going to have all of a sudden in a document, everything's clean. And then in the document, I have something erased. So I'm going to start suspecting that maybe after it was already signed, the guy came, erased it, right? Wrote whatever he wanted. Fine. But if I'm going to have the entire thing is erased, and then I have witnesses on that, so these witnesses saw that it was erased. You could tell. When you come and you take a Sefer Torah, right? You could see that something's erased or not. You could see that there's you understand that you could see it. So for obviously, if they sign, it's going to be okay. So he says, but according to Rav Yomi, that he learned it in the name of Rav, what are you going to say? Which means, why is it that Rav is going to say that if you're going to have tiyuta between the edim and the stamp of the bedin, it's going to be kosher? Why? So he answers, Kasavar kol kiyai gavna. He holds that everything, like in this case, em mekaymin oto min ha'asharta shebo ela min edim shebo. In such a case, we don't pay attention to the kiyum of the bedin. We only pay attention to the edim. That's what he says. And therefore, he comes and he says, even if there was going to be a space in between, we're not going to suspect that they're going to come and they're going to erase it, because I don't care then. Meaning, if Be'emet, this is what's going to happen, I will never come and verify the document because the Bedin signed on it. Meaning, the majority of the times we take a document, verified, it's got the seal. Come on. I don't even pay attention. The witnesses, do they exist? Do they not exist? Or they maybe in the cemetery and they're bichlal and they're still signing and they're voting. You know, all those things. The second you see a seal, right? Gamarnu says, no, in this case, we don't pay attention to the seal. Because since there was the diyuta in between, and then all of a sudden it was a machak, right? And all of a sudden it comes to me, and I see machak, witnesses, diyuta, not diyuta, the seal. I come and I say, I don't pay attention to the seal. Let's look for the witnesses. So if I only go after the witnesses, I don't care about the seal. Okay?
So it's our job to do it, or is it Bedin's job to do it?
Bedin does everything. Everything here is Bedin. Yeah? You're not doing nothing. Right?
So Bedin מבטל את החתימה של עצמו ובודק את עצמו.
It's not the Bedin מבטל את חתימת של עצמם. When they come and they see such a case, they realize that it could be forged, and therefore they don't pay attention that there's an emblem of the Bedin. They come and they say, we have to come and we have to look at the witnesses, not the witnesses. Yes. But everything here is Bedin. There's no such thing as a human being. Yeah? So says the Gemara, right? Yeah. So he comes and he says this, my shna, right? Sorry, Rabbi Yochanan Amar. Rabbi Yochanan comes and he says, Lo shanu ela ben ha'edim lektav. We're only talking about between the witnesses and the ktav. But between the ve'edim nasharta, even if it's going to be shita achat, it's going to be pasul. Meaning, beforehand we said that shita achat is kosher between the shtar and the edim. Two shitot is going to be pasul. Now we're coming and we're saying to do with the edim and the kiyum of the bedin, even one is going to be pasul, meaning it has to be done immediately right underneath of it. So says the Gemara, why? Ma'ishna ben edim la sharta. What's the difference between the edim and the and between the edim and the how do you say? There has to be a good word for it. The gushpanka of the bedin, the seal of the bedin, right? I'm going to come and I'm going to dilma gazil leila because maybe I'm going to cut off the top part. And he's going to write everything in one line. The kasavan he says shtar habav hu ve'edav. Right, b'shita achat is going to be kosher. Yihachi if so, benedim lektav nami. Dilma guys le'elai. Like this. Until now, we didn't see this concept. This concept is, can you write something on a line and then have a deem sign on the same line? Usually, what we have is you have the document and then you have a deem. Now, sometimes you'll see a deem one beside each other, like one on one, and sometimes a deem one beneath each other. But it's never going to be on the same line. Meaning, when you finish a kol shari or whatever it is, you're never going to have the witnesses there signing, right?
Something they do. Correct, but the correct of it.
Yeah.
They stand beside the
Right then and there. They're not saying it's
That's only in the secular things that you do an initial. According to the Torah, in the Torah way, it doesn't exist. You would have to correct it, and then on the bottom, right before the signatures, you have to do a kiyum shtar. Kiyum shtar means in the line 15 there was a mistake. We corrected it this way, and that's it. But you have to actually write that. Meaning, if you there's no such thing as just adding a little scribble right beside whatever you change in the middle of the document, and that's it. On the bottom, you have to say, in this line, this is a mistake. In this line, this is a mistake. Right? This is what we corrected. Here it is. That's called a kiyum shtar. Okay, so he comes down and he says, right, what happens though if I come and I write whatever I want in one line, and then at the end of the line I get to two signatures on the same line? So here it's saying that somebody says that it's going to be kosher, right? So he comes and he says, so therefore the same thing. So why are we going to suspect also the same thing? So he says, "Kasavar shtarabahu be'shita chaveda k'shita acheret pasul." Says this shita holds that obviously if it's going to be on the same line, it's pasul. So therefore, it doesn't help everything that you're asking because according to the shita, it doesn't exist. Meaning, if you're going to come, you're going to have whatever it is that you're writing, and then you're going to come and you're going to have two witnesses signed on the same line. It looks like monkey business. You know, it looks like a very weird. You know, so therefore, so it's going to be
make an exception to only his local bedin kind of.
No. It is machloket. There's a machloket, and therefore, according to the shita, it's pasul. Yeah. So says the Gemara, "Velechush dilma katav hu ve'edav v'shita achat." Amar ana lerabot bedim udavdi. He says, one second, maybe I'm going to come and I'm going to suspect that when I have one shita, right, and right the edim on another shita, it's going to be pasul. So therefore, when you have one empty space between the edim and the ktav, we're not going to suspect for anything. Why? Because even if he's going to cut it, right, it's still going to be a shita achat ve'edav shita acheret, which is pasul. So I'm not going to suspect for anything, right? So why don't I suspect that it's going to be one line? So, and he's going to say, I just wanted a lot of edim. Meaning, I have edim, but I just want extra edim. I want more and more and more and more. I just want extra edim. Sometimes they do that. They just continue adding edim. Exactly. The Fersum and Nisa, right? They're not the Nisa, but Presum, as they say. So he says, so he says, Kasavar kol ke'agavne, em mekaymin oto min ha'edim shel mata min ha'edim shel ma'ala. He said, no. You know why? I never pay attention to the edim which are on the bottom. I'm only going to pay attention to the edim which are going to be on the top. So therefore, if it's going to be such a case that there's going to be a space in between the shura and the edim, so therefore we're not going to come and we're not going to suspect for false. They're going to come and they're going to start for.